Earlier this year, Oregon Governor Tina Kotek announced that new tolling efforts in the Portland metro area were being paused until 2026. So that pause there had a little bit of a catch because it does not apply to tolls that are already in place. Now it turns out tolls on at least one bridge are set to actually go up. The Port of Hood River Commission voted last week to raise tolls for vehicles crossing the Hood River Bridge starting in September. We are not talking a hike of a few cents here. For people paying cash, the tolls are going from $2 per car up to $3.50. If you're set up with the automatic payment system, yeah, they are also going up, though from $1 to $1.75. Not quite double, but it almost feels like it there. So why are they going up? For one, the bridge is aging. It's turning 100 next year. So we sent digital reporter and producer Anthony Masuk, who you might say is our big transportation infrastructure expert, to Hood River to help us bridge that gap between the past and the future.
When the Hood River Bridge opened in 1924, it cost 10 cents to cross per person or animal, or 75 cents per animal-drawn vehicle.
The original bridge had a wooden deck, and it had the old Model Ts, and it was a different world back in the 1920s.
The Port of Hood River bought the bridge from its original private owners in 1950 and has maintained it ever since. But despite some upgrades over the years for modern road and river traffic, it's due for replacement.
You can basically only polish a doorknob so many times before the doorknob breaks, and that's really the situation that we're in here.
The bridge is unlikely to survive the big one, and the support columns are spaced uncomfortably close together, so barges on the main Columbia River channel don't have much margin for error as they thread their way through. Width is also a big problem up on the bridge deck, where there are narrow lanes and no shoulders. So cramped that drivers in big vehicles are urged to fold in their mirrors to make sure they don't get sheared off.
We actually have trucks, fruit trucks and lumber trucks, lock up mid-span. That causes huge traffic problems all the way back onto Highway 14 and I-84.
There you go. You want a receipt?
There's no shoulders, there's no turnaround, so we literally have to start pulling cars out backwards until we can get those trucks unhooked.
Even when traffic is moving smoothly, it can feel pretty harrowing to drive across despite the bridge's 15-mile-per-hour speed limit.
You can really feel your car moving on that steel deck, and so that really makes it dicey. And if you're not a real confident driver, there's a lot of people that only drive this bridge once because they just don't feel safe doing it.
The new bridge is a big deal for Hood River, but it might be an even bigger deal on the Washington side for the towns of Bingen and White Salmon. Drivers from those towns are a majority of the traffic on the bridge right now, commuting over to Hood River sometimes multiple times a day. And whenever the current bridge is out of commission, you're looking at an hour-long detour in one direction or the other to find another way across the river. The bridge averages about 4 million crossings each year, more than half of which are Washington traffic. White Salmon Mayor Marla Keithler says the crossing is indispensable for North Shore residents, and a new bridge is a critical step to make sure it stays available.
I mean, this new bridge really is essential to the long-term resiliency of our Washington communities in Western Klickitat. This really is our lifeline.
Keithler is also one of the commissioners on the newly created Hood River White Salmon Bridge Authority, which officially took over management of the project on July 1st and will own and operate the new bridge once it's finished. The Port of Hood River will continue to play a supporting role, but Keithler says the new authority's shared leadership structure means a lot to residents on the Washington side.
It allows bi-state representation, and going forward ensures that all tolls on that new bridge stay only with the bridge for the long-term operation and maintenance of that singular facility. And I think that that's been a key part, especially for Washington residents, is to finally have a seat at the table and make sure there's that representation long-term.
The New Bridge Authority grew out of a working group that was created about 5 years ago, and officials say that marked a turning point in the quest to bring the long-simmering idea of a new crossing into reality.
And the great thing is that we're all on the same team. And so we have support from the Washington side, we have support from the Oregon side, and we're working with the tribes, the Native American tribes, which has been starting to become very successful. So it seems like everyone is all on the same page that this is a beautiful bridge, but it's not functional anymore.
So what will the replacement crossing look like? It's still going through the federal environmental review process, which means the design is not 100% done, but the big pieces are already locked in place. It'll still be a 2-lane bridge, but much wider. 12-foot lanes and 8-foot shoulders instead of those slim 9-foot lanes. It's also going to have a multimodal path on the western side, allowing cyclists and pedestrians to use the crossing for the first time. It'll ditch the steel grating for a more modern concrete deck, and the lift span is also going away. The new bridge will cross the main river channel at 90 feet, high enough to provide clearance for all vessels. The project has secured about $118 million in funding so far, but there's still a lot more that will need to come together in the next couple years before construction can begin.
The overall cost to complete is about $600 million. So the goal is, if we could get a commitment from Oregon and Washington at about $125 million apiece, and then, our commitment is this $15 to $20 million for the local community reserve fund that would help us get a TIFIA or other federal funding that could then push us over that $525 to $600 million and get us to where we need to go.
That $15 to $20 million she mentioned is the additional revenue that will be brought in by raising tolls on the current bridge. If all the other pieces come together, officials hope construction can get underway in late 2025 or early 2026.
The new bridge is going to be built just a little bit west of the old one, which means on the Hood River side, it's going to land right about where we're standing. And it's going to take about 4 years to build, so if it stays on schedule, that'll mean wrapping up in 2029, and that's the point where traffic will shift over from the old bridge to the new one, and it'll finally be time for Hood River to say goodbye to the old one after a little over a century.
The tolls are going to stick around on the new bridge, but port staff say the toll hike coming in September is the only one they think they'll need to make during planning and construction. There could be more down the road once the new bridge is up and running, but we'll have to cross that bridge and pay that toll when we come to it. Anthony Masuk, KGW News.
Yes, we will. All right, 2029 maybe. So why does the bridge still have tolls? After all, they eventually went away on the Astoria and interstate bridges. In fact, some of you may remember there were tokens that were used to cross the bridge between Portland and Vancouver. Marcella sent us this picture a while back after she found this in some of her dad's keepsakes. Thanks for sending that. The big difference is that the other bridges are owned by the Oregon and Washington transportation departments, which can use state gas tax revenue to pay for the maintenance. The Hood River Bridge is owned by the port, which does not have access to the funding. That is also why the Bridge of the Gods, a little bit further west, also has tolls because it is owned by the port of Cascade Locks.